The following podcast is brought to you by PeacemakerNetwork.com. PeacemakerNetwork.com. Audio is provided by Pixabay.com. That's Pixabay.com.
Candace Owen says that someone else killed Charlie Kirk. Is she correct, or is she nuts? We're going to talk about that on this episode of Charlie Crimebuster. It's what some people are calling, they're calling it the fastest minutes in podcasting.
The views and opinions expressed in this presentation are solely those of the individuals participating and do not represent those of city, county, state, or federal law enforcement agencies, nor sponsors and platforms of this presentation. The Charlie Crimebuster name and all forms and abbreviations are property of its owner, and its use does not imply endorsement of or opposition to any specific organization, product, or service. All individuals described or mentioned in the presentation should be considered innocent unless or until found guilty in a court of law. This presentation contains adult subject matter. Listener and viewer discretion is advised.
Well, hello and welcome to another Charlie Crimebuster podcast. Glad to have you on board the Charlie Crime train today. Thank you for being a part of our crime family. Hey, I'd like to invite you to reach out with a shout out. Reach me, charliecrimebuster@gmail.com. Also, check out our support, our sponsor. That's called peacemakernetwork.com. And then jump on over to the website at charliecrimebuster.com. You find all the podcasts right there for your listening pleasure. And before we get into today's program, please don't forget, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and join the Charlie Crime train today. All right, we've been talking about Charlie Kirk and his terrible, terrible assassination. We've been doing this series for a couple of weeks now, and now I'm concerned that Candace Owen is claiming that the police has misidentified the suspect in Charlie Kirk's death. If the police are wrong, the real perpetrator is still at large. If Owen is wrong, well, she's misleading many people. So which is it? Now, for you that may not know Candace Owen, she's a political commentator and an author. Get this. She has a YouTube channel with 5.33 million subscribers. That started about 10 years ago. And Candace Owen reported net worth of over $6 million. $6,470,837. And no, that isn't a misquote. You see, this is not some small person sitting behind a microphone that you buy at Walmart. This is a major influencer. She was born in White Plains, New York in 1989, grew up in Stamford, Connecticut. According to the details that we've read about her, well, she was raised mostly by her mother and her grandparents from around the age of 11 or 12. That, of course, was after her parents' divorce. She is the third of 4 children. She's a graduate of Stanford High School there in Connecticut. And while she was in high school, she had some already controversial situations going on. While she was a 17-year-old senior at Stanford High School, well, she received 3 racist death threats. Those are in voicemail messages and totaled about 2 minutes. But get this, it was from a group of white male classmates, and that included, the mayor and future Democratic governor, Daniel Mallow. Now, Owen's family sued the Stanford Board of Education federal court. They alleged, that the city did not protect her rights. Hey, they won it. $37,500. Settlement, January 2008. And, interesting enough, just like Charlie Kirk, this major influencer did not graduate from college. She did pursue an undergraduate degree in journalism. That was up there at the University of Rhode Island. But she dropped out after her junior year. Appears that there was some issue with her student loan. She then took a job with a private equity firm in Manhattan. She moved right on up the ladder and became the vice president of administration. That's something I did not know about her. Here's something else you may not know about her. She did not start out as a right-wing conservative. That's right, in 2015, Owens was CEO of Degree 180. It was a marketing agency. It offered consultation, production, planning services, and had a blog on a variety of topics. That blog was written by Owens and other people. But in a 2015 column that Owens wrote for the site, she criticized conservative Republicans. She wrote them and called them batshit crazy. She said it was the batshit crazy antics of the Republican Tea Party. She also added, now get this, quote, "The good news is they will eventually die off peacefully in their sleep, we hope. And then we can get right on with the obvious social change that needs to happen immediately." In fact, Owens has said herself that she had no interest in politics whatsoever before 2015. And she was previously identified as a liberal. But in October 2018, and by the way, she had said that she had never voted, only recently became a registered Republican. But then in January 2019, she took another direction. She said the left hates America, and Trump loves it. She added that the left is destroying everything through their ideology. Called it a culture Marxist ideology. Now, the Washington Post has called Owens the new face of black conservatism. The Guardian, well, they described her as ultra-conservative. New York Magazine, they described her as right-wing. And all kinds of media people have called Owens as a far-right commentator. So this is the person that's saying these things about Charlie Kirk and his alleged shooter. She's the one that's saying they got the wrong guy. Now, where did she get connected with Charlie Kirk? Well, November 21st, 2017, that is. Almost said 1917. That would have been a long time ago. No, it was 2017. That was at a rally, a MAGA rally, there in Rockford, Illinois. Well, Charlie Kirk, he just announced that they hired Owens as the organization's director of urban engagement. Now, at the same time, there was a lot of allegations of racism at Turning Point. That was back in that time of 2017. But then in 2019, just 2 years later, she announced her departure as communication director. Now, she did get quite a few contacts as she worked at Turning Point USA. She received support of prominent figures of the Republican Party. In fact, President Trump himself, whom she had criticized earlier, well, he called her a very smart thinker. Others have said people like Candace Owens, like Charlie Kirk, we need more leaders like that. Ted Cruz, even Senator Ted Cruz, he talked about how he admired her, and he even suggested in a joking way that she might be appointed to the Supreme Court of the United States. Now, I'm sharing this background to help you understand that this is a person who is now implying and pushing a theory that Charlie Kirk was not shot and killed by the alleged suspect, Tyler Robinson. Now, in just a moment, we're going to look very closely at these claims that Owens is saying about who shot Charlie Kirk. But now, let's just take a moment and let's take our breath and let me share with you Charlie Crimebuster's Crazy Crook of the Week. Well, our crazy crook this week, he was actually introduced by Sheriff Judd down in Polk County, Florida. He's walking tall there in Polk County, Florida, and if you know anything about Polk County, Florida, you know that Sheriff Judd is the king of the county. And he did post this in a video on the Sheriff's Office Facebook page. And here's what he said, quote, "Someone broke into the Polk City Sheriff's Station." Then around 3 minutes later, this someone is seen walking out with something in his hands. And he says, Sheriff Judd says, "He stole my picture." Yep, Sheriff Judd's picture, stolen right off the lobby wall. Along with a major and a captain picture as well. And Brian, the guy was named Brian, he was found in jail on another theft charge. The sheriff explained his reasoning. This is what the crazy crook said. William Bryan, this is what he said. He said, "We went down there, and my brain was a little foggy that night." That's what Judge said, rather, the one who they caught. He said, "I was using little drugs, but I think I stole those pictures. Wrapped them in a towel and put them by a tree." And Judge said, sure enough, he did. That's where they found the picture. So now the sheriff The command staff, they're back up on the wall where they belong, greeting everybody as they walk into the sheriff's substation there. No worse for the wear, that's what Sheriff Judd said. And for the crazy crook, Judd, well, he's in jail with some more charges. Now he's charged, Prime Judd is, with multiple counts of burglary and petty theft. So this crazy crook who thought that he could get away with walking into the sheriff's office and stealing his picture right off the wall. He is indeed Charlie Crimebuster's Crazy Crook of the Week. Well, now back to our main focus. So what is this ultra-conservative right influencer saying about Charlie Kirk's shooter? Candace Owen really publicly floated several different ideas about this shooting. One of them was that there was a possibility of underground tunnels there at the event, and that the shooter was actually coming from below rather than above. According to Owens, there was a possibility that the assassin was actually hiding in an underground tunnel behind the stage at the Utah Valley University. In fact, in one of her videos, she said, well, the internet has sleuthed that there was someone who moved the camera above Charlie's head about 5 minutes after he was shot. I was able to speak to that individual and see the footage, and I'll tell you what I saw, or more importantly, what I didn't see. Then she continued by saying and wondering if there were possibilities like this, if they were considered by the authorities. That it possibly happened from below. So that's one of our theories, that Charlie wasn't shot from the roof, but he was shot from below. A second theory that she's floating is that Tyler Robinson, the alleged shooter, may have been framed, and that there is a narrative being told by the authorities. The narrative that's being stated is false. She's now come up with a new conspiracy theory, claiming that she now has sources confirming that Tyler Robinson was framed, that he was not the person who shot and killed Charlie. She says that everything the feds have said about the case so far and about how Tyler was caught is a lie, including that Tyler Robinson is suicidal. She went on to say, quote, I want to break this news immediately because I feel it's important, and I think if I don't break it immediately, something bad may happen. Of course, she did this to tease a big reveal on a Monday of her podcast or her YouTube channel, giving a weekend of a cliffhanger for her viewers, you might say. She also stated that there were more people involved in the named suspect, others who facilitated or directed this happening. Reacting to Phil Holloway posts on X, Candace Owens claimed that more people were involved and we need to know them, she says. She says, for instance, that the surveillance footage was suppressed, and she asserts that the FBI did not release video showing a woman with the shooter. She claimed that the FBI did not release door cam footage that came to her from another source that claimed that the killer was seen with a woman who was probably helping the killer. Candace went on to say that she did not initially have any evidence to support her claim, but now she has, she said. An Instagram user shared a video where eyewitnesses inadvertently revealed that there was a woman. Now, she also claimed that Tyler was not a gun enthusiast, but a fisherman. And she said that those messages that the feds claimed that he sent to his boyfriend, Lance Twiggs, said those were fictional. Another claim that Candace makes is this. She says that Robinson's parents allegedly do not believe that he committed the crime, according to her source, and that the prior reporting is false. Wow, that's a whole lot of claiming, is it not? Well, we could take these one at a time and talk to you about them, but the main part of it all is that she really, my friend, has no independent validation of these things. All of her claims is based on her own sources, her own speculation, and interpretation of gaps in publicly released information. Let me tell you something, friend. Any law enforcement agency is not going to oftentimes release all the information they have. They're going to keep back certain sources of information. That's for a couple reasons. Number one, it is the fact that some of this information needs to be vetted. Unlike Candace Owen, law enforcement doesn't just throw things out there, or they shouldn't just throw things out there that have not been vetted. And that's the problem with this information that Candace is sharing on all of her platforms. This is information that has not been properly vetted. Independent and credible external sources have not confirmed all of her alternative narratives. This idea today that, suddenly there's another woman seen with this man, that has not really been verified. This is just things that other people are saying, other people are alluding to. And let me tell you something, friend. In an investigation like this, you will not arrest and hold and put charges forward if you do not have probable cause and evidence to do it in. They have already charged the suspect, Tyler Robertson, and they have provided evidence. Well, what evidence? Well, put this on. He confessed it. He confessed it in his text. Put this on. He was recognized by his own mom there at the site in the videos. What about this? There was a DNA sample found that went to him, to the rifle that killed him. Yet what does Candace have? She has the lack of any corroborating evidence for this conspiracy. Although she suggested more people involved, law enforcement now says there's known evidence at this time linking any additional conspirators. My friend, when you have extraordinary claims like you are getting now from Candace Owens, suggesting that there's a cover-up, suggesting that there's a suppression of footage, or that the official narrative is false, those are serious claims. And to overturn those official versions, you need compelling, verifiable evidence, credible witnesses, forensics, a chain of custody on the documents. None of that has been publicly presented to death. So, my friend, bottom line, Candace Owens is speculating that the story about Charlie Kirk's assassination is incomplete. It's speculation, and it is intentionally misleading. She is proposing alternate theories, framing conspiracies, suppressed evidence, but those all remain unproven claims. The public verified report supports that Tyler Robertson is the person charged, and there's no confirmed evidence supporting Owen's contention that someone else killed Kirk. So now we get back to this point. Why? Why is this person who has over 5 million followers on our YouTube channel, why is this person sharing these theories without independent evidence? That's what I've had to ask myself. Why? Why is suddenly, in my mind, her credibility is becoming severely damaged? Well, there have been several people who've talked about why she may be doing this. One is a very positive approach to why she might be doing it, is that she herself is a friend of Charlie Kirk, and she believes that she has insider knowledge, and that knowledge is that she believes, and she said this, she believes Charlie has been pressured by pro-Israel donors to shift or maintain a certain position of Israel. This is big with her and with Tucker Carlson. They, are not really supporters of what's going on with Israel. And now she says that because of her friendship with Charlie, that she knows that Charlie has declined offers of money to stay silent or to conform. And she is actually implying, which is very dangerous, by the way, that this could be considered relevant to his death. You can imagine how Israel feels about that. So according to her, she sees a distorted narrative to preserve or reveal what she believes is Kirk's true beliefs. She believes that Kirk was moving away from his support of Israel, while Turning Point USA and others say nothing is farther from the truth. He was not turning away from Israel. As a true believer, as Charlie Kirk was, he knows that Scripture even says that we are to befriend Israel. Now, there could be another reason why she's come up with all these theories. One other one is that she has a deep distrust of official narratives or institutions. In fact, if you look at Candace Owen, this is the style of her brand, you see. It is her brand to always be questioning authorities, always questioning what is handed out there. And, that certainly comes from all the fake news that's out there today. And there is a good time to question certain information. But you question the information that is not verified. You question the information that is not vetted. When it's information that's verified, when it's information that is vetted, that's not the time to question that type of information. And for the most part, in law enforcement, you are seeing a non-partial approach to fighting crime. And in this situation, I do not see any way at all that law enforcement is being distrustful, or we should distrust law enforcement from what they're saying about the killer of Charlie Kirk. I mean, as an investigator myself, I know that these charges would not be brought to the court without good evidence supporting it. And there is that evidence there. But on the other hand, this stuff that Candace is saying, no evidence. Now, I will say that there's a darker part to this too, and I guess we at least have to talk about it. There are others that are saying that Candace Owens is sharing these theories and trying to grab onto any little thing she can, any little rumor she hears, or any little thing she gets. Let me give you an example. One thing she said, well, some of the images that the FBI was showing us was not time-stamped. Well, of course it wasn't. I mean, they were just showing that you could go back and find it, and when they go to court, I guarantee you'll see what kind of timestamp they had. But let me tell you something. On a lot of the videos that Candace herself is using to try to support her theories that are unfounded, those videos are not time-stamped either. So which is it, Candace Owens? Can you show your videos without a timestamp, and yet you jump up and down and say, oh, there must be something really sinister here because that video wasn't timestamped? You know, and I know, we all know that when it comes to court, those videos will be timestamped. There would be a way to prove when that video was taken. And yet some of hers aren't. So I was going to mention to you that there is a darker side to this, and one that I really hope that isn't true. Her critics will argue that Candace Owen is using this tragedy as an opportunity to gain clicks, to gain followers, visibility, political leverage. After all, my friend, this brand that she has, it already has brought her a net worth of over $6 million. $6 million. Now, I cannot personally speak to her motivation to go down these rabbit holes without independent evidence, but I can tell you that I'm confident that the police has it right. The evidence is there. The alleged shooter was at the site. He was recognized by his own mother from the videos. He left DNA on the rifle used to kill Charlie Kirk. He admitted that he did it in a text. He is the alleged killer, I believe for sure. And I believe his parents were involved in him getting caught. I mean, this comes from the sheriff down there who knew the person that knew their parents. And Candace, in my personal opinion, well, I believe she's responsible for sharing misleading information. And all the time she's sharing this misleading information, she is perhaps getting richer for doing it. The fact is, Charlie Kirk died much too soon at the hand of a gunman who is in custody of the United States Justice Department and may face the death penalty for what he did. On the other hand, Candace Owen, she has been a champion in the conservative cause. She had the courage to stand up and go against the grain, and she has done a whole lot of good for this country. But now I'm wondering what is going on. Why is she going in my opinion, off the ledge here? And why is she going into these far-reaching rabbit holes without bringing to her audience the kind of information that is stabilized and supported and vetted by independent sources? That bothers me, because here is a great person who had a great responsibility and a great opportunity, and who did a lot of good in this country. Maybe she's still doing good in this country, but what she's doing right now, I believe, my friend, it is sad to see that you're so quick to judge brave men and women who put on a badge and go out there and fight crime and say things that are not true about investigations. So there you have it. There's Charlie Crimebuster's ideas about this thing of Candace Owen stating that they got the wrong killer for Charlie Kirk. I don't believe it is, and I believe a court of law will prove it. Or maybe like what happened in the Idaho killing of these precious students, maybe he'll just plead out and there'll be no trial. But there will be justice. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Charlie Crimebuster. We'll be back next week, same time, same station. We'll be releasing another podcast. We hope you'll join us for another Charlie Crimebuster episode as we look at the truth behind crime. To this time next time, Charlie Crimebuster reminding you, be safe, be alert, for the life you save may be your very own.
You have been listening to Charlie Crimebuster. You can find additional information and podcasts at charliecrimebuster.com. We would like to thank our sponsor, the Peacemaker Network, and also encourage you to support the first responders, military, and law enforcement personnel by contributing to the Peacemaker Network. That's peacemakernetwork.com. All music and sound effects are courtesy of Pixabay.com. That's Pixabay.com. You can also support us by subscribing to our YouTube channel, tag @CharlieCrimebuster, and then click the subscribe button. By doing so, you'll be notified each time we drop one of our shows. Another more convenient way for you to listen to our podcasts, or for you to say to your smart speaker, play Charlie Crimebuster. If you have comments or suggestions, we would love to hear from you, so please send them to charliecrimebuster@gmail.com. That's charliecrimebuster@gmail.com. Or you can call or text us at 407-917-2211. That's 407-917-2211. Thank you for listening, and we hope that you will join us again for another exciting crime episode with Charlie Crimebuster.